What's up all and welcome back to another video. Today we are looking at Hitmontop, a Pokemon that I think is super underrated in Johto Cup. With so many players looking to bulky Pokemon like Umbreon, Skarmory, and Steelix to bolster their teams, Hitmontop just has a lot of play in this cup. So basically when I'm running it, I'm looking to build to two close combats, kind of like if you've ever played Master League with Zacian. That's kind of the general strategy with a move that's going to debuff you but is not super costly energy-wise. You want to try to get to back-to-back moves. So generally, you're looking to build to back-to-back close combats and maintain switch if they let it go, or at least get shields. Maybe you get both their shields. Maybe at least you just get a shield advantage, and then go to either Skarmory or Meganium based on what you're looking at. That's it, really. I mean, it's a squishy Pokemon, so I have it partnered with Skarmory and Meganium because neither of them really need shields in most matchups. They also form kind of a nice little core. Or it's more like two cores, really. Hitmontop and Skarmory have great coverage with one another, and Skarmory and Meganium both pair well with one another. But yeah, that's the gist of the team. So without further ado, let's just get into these battles. So looking at game one, faced with an Ariados lead, any bug lead is really going to be less than optimal because you do have the coverage of Stone Edge, but it takes a while to get to, and you're going to lose most matchups where you have to deal with something like Ariados or other flyers. So generally what you want to do is just take a shield and get out of there. Being that this was one of the first games I did with this team, I wasn't quite sure how I wanted to play this matchup yet, so I do end up just letting Hitmontop go. I come in with Meganium. I probably should have come in with Skarmory, but I didn't know if there was maybe Lantern in the back. And, if you come in that situation with Skarmory and they come in with Lantern, maybe you could just swap to Meganium. So actually, yeah, either way, that probably wasn't the right call. But like I said, this is one of the first games I did with this team. In any case, now it's Umbreon aligned with Meganium. I have to shield in order to take this thing down. Like I said, I also don't know what's in the back at this point, so Meganium might have more play. I need to try to preserve it if I can. But we also know that Ariados is still back there, so that's obviously a threat. He brings it back in. Because I'm so close to the Earthquake, I decide to shield this, hoping that maybe he doesn't know I'm at the Earthquake, and he'll let it go. Or just depending on what's in the back, he might be willing to let it go, but he doesn't. I swap to Skarmory here, and I'm just going to have to farm down. There's really nothing else I can do in that situation. So we're taking lunges, and lunge is such a great move because even if you're in a disadvantaged position, you can just spam lunge, and the thing that you're facing is going to be pressured to switch out anyway because it's going to be so debuffed by the time you're done with it. So really a powerful move, especially in Johto Cup, where alignment is just so important. So now Lantern's the closer. My Meganium is already so weak that I really am out of options at this point. All I can do is spam debuff Sky attacks and try to get into my Meganium and hope that I can somehow get to a move. But really, there just was really no chance there. Even if I had just sack swapped Meganium and tried to build up to a Brave Bird there, it wouldn't have been enough to KO, and he would have been able to just get to another Thunderbolt. So, good game to my opponent. Game 2, a Jumpluff, which is another terrible lead for Hitmontop. In most situations so far, after playing this team for about a day, usually Jumpluff lead means you're just going to lose. You might want to just top left if you see Jumpluff on the lead. But fortunately, I didn't encounter it more than maybe 4 times out of 25 games on the lead. There what I did was I traded a shield, and then I was able to catch the second acrobatics on Skarmory, which is really the best thing you can hope for, and then hope that they don't have something in the back that deals with Skarmory, but most likely they do. Most of the Jumpluff that I've seen so far are running double water in the back, so you have to preserve Meganium. That's basically your win con, is to try and maintain shield advantage and run through it with Meganium. At least that's what I'm starting to see. But In comes Meganium against this Lantern, and now all I can really do is farm down here. Just let these Thunderbolts go, and hope that I can just take this thing out and keep some energy. He tries to bring Jumpluff back in, but since I already had that energy on Hitmontop, I'm able to just get the Stone Edge off right away, and he lets it go. I think maybe you shield there and just try to pressure, especially because Raikou is so delicate in the back, and by letting me get some energy and get something going here, you're really not doing yourself any favors. But yeah, I'm able to just pressure this Raikou with close combats here, which is going to be enough to win me the game. So one thing I noticed when I first started playing this team versus how I'm running it now is I would never do what I just did there and throw the close combat before I have another close combat ready, because taking that 2-stage debuff can be really damaging. So you really want to try to get the 2 close combats first before you throw, so that you can throw both back to back. Now, sure, some people will likely try to catch the second one on something else. Like I noticed a couple times people tried to catch the second close combat on Azumarill if they have an Azumarill. But that usually is not the worst thing, because then I can just bring in Meganium. So in this case, he brings in Politoed. I have Meganium and I have Switch Alignment. He tries to swap to Quagsire there, but I think he quickly realized he just didn't have any play against Meganium, and he was going to, pretty much just lose that game there. So, good game. Umbreon, the lead on this one. I'm throwing the close combat on the Skarmory just to take a shield and come in with my own Skarmory here, wanting to preserve my Hitmontop for the Umbreon later. So, yeah, he has an energy lead, but I have shield advantage, and Skarmory versus Skarmory is really just a game of chicken to see who's going to farm up more energy and who's going to throw the Brave Bird and debuff themselves first, or at least when it's an even mirror. But because I have shield advantage and he has a little bit of energy lead, it becomes more nuanced. It's a little more tricky. So I'm hoping that he'll just go straight Sky Attack the whole time and I can just farm down. But at the last second here, I kind of lost track of his energy, and I wasn't sure if he could hit me with a Brave Bird. I do think I'm in Brave Bird range, or maybe I was just above it. But I decided not to take the chance. I wanted to make sure that Hitmontop stayed aligned with Umbreon, so I was willing to give up the shield there. Now I'm just going to let this Lantern take me out, because I still have Meganium to deal with this Lantern. So bring in Meganium, he immediately swaps to Umbreon, which is fine. I can just immediately swap to Hitmontop. He's going to throw, I think, a Dark Pulse here. Yeah, I wasn't sure if he maybe had Psychic. I probably should have just let that go. But I throw the, I shielded the Dark Pulse. Throw the close combat here, and I was pretty sure I had 2, but I guess I miscounted and I was off by 1 counter there. So I wasn't able to throw the back-to-back. I had to get that 1 counter, but I had already debuffed myself. So unfortunately, that Snarl takes me out before I can get the second close combat off. But I still have a lot of play here because Meganium is very healthy, and I already had that Frenzy Plant ready. So we're able to eat up that Dark Pulse and just start farming this Lantern down. And Lantern really just can't do much at all against Meganium. So we're in a pretty good position here. We can just throw this Frenzy Plant, knock the Lantern down, and then his Umbreon is not anywhere near a move, and it's just 1 Vine Whip away from being knocked out. So able to easily close that game out. The last game here is going to be against a Piloswine, and this one was a little tricky because I hadn't seen Piloswine yet. I wasn't sure if it could get to 2 avalanches before I get to 2 close combats. So I shield once, and then he actually goes to Quillfish here, and I very quickly decided that it was better to throw the close combat here because I was almost certain he was going to give up a shield anyway. If he hadn't shielded that, that would have been pretty bad for me. But I get the shield, and then I can just come in with Skarmory, which generally has a good time against Quillfish since Poison Sting does almost nothing. And he's forced to spam Aqua Tail, but Aqua Tail actually chunks for being like a not super powerful move. He can really abuse that Aqua Tail. he decides to let the Sky Attack go, and Quillfish is a pretty squishy Pokemon, so another Aqua Tail is just going to put me in the red there, but now my opponent makes a great play here. Immediately swaps, takes advantage of our desync timer to farm down the Skarmory, and now he's got a move ready to throw at this Hitmontop. So I decided to just let Hitmontop go, figuring I can just farm down with Meganium and clean up whatever's in the back. The thing is, Umbreon turns out to be in the back, so then I realized I made a mistake. I definitely should have just shielded, farmed the Piloswine down. I could have thrown the close combat to get the last shield and then come in with Meganium. But even Meganium, being as bulky as it is going to still have a lot of play here. And because I had that slight energy lead and didn't take a charge move, I figured his only win con was to try to sack swap the Quillfish, which he tried to do right there. So I started over farming the moves, and I caught the Quillfish. Now I have even more energy. I just have to shield, and then I can start throwing these Frenzy Plants right away. And I figure I should be good to go. I should outpace and knock this thing out just before he gets to another foul play here. I think he was maybe one away, so it was really close because that next foul play definitely would have KO'd. But I'm able to still get the win, even though I blundered and gave up the Hitmontop when I definitely should not have. So, all in all, I had a lot of fun playing with the Hitmontop, continuing to climb with this team. I went 15-10 with this team today, so I briefly touched the 2700s before tanking back down a tiny bit. But I'm pretty confident that before the week is out, I'll be able to get to expert with this team. And I'm having a lot of success with it so far. Hitmontop's very squishy, but it definitely has untopped potential in this cup. Untopped? I'm sorry. Anyway, if you enjoyed this video, please leave a like or sub, and let me know in the comments what you've been running and what's working for you. And I will see you next time.